Hello everyone, welcome back to another video and a little constellation I have shown in a previous video. It's this little Ficus microcarpa, I would almost call it forest or at least a constellation of three separate plants in here in this pot. I chose to pot them up together because I found them all, well, not really appealing on their own, I would say, but I think within this constellation they do really work well together. So they are just very unique looking, each one of them, and I think together they just make a nice looking and interesting looking, especially constellation. So what is the plan for today? I'm of course not just here to show you how this is doing. Today what I want to really start working on is the branch structure of these trees. Because when I bought them, those were just little plugs that basically they get cut at the top, and then of course a lot of growth is happening around where they were cut. But that also means basically all the growth we have right now is coming from around basically the same point, and that is of course not really desirable. We don't want too crowded growth in here, especially when we think about the future. So we need to already counteract that today by already starting to look at where we can take out branches and which branches we should actually keep. So that is what we're going to do today. And to really make sure you see what we're doing, we're gonna put the camera closer here and really get up close here and looking at the branch structure. So let's do that. So here we are, and I would say let's start with this little tree right here to the side. And what I can see right away is here, this is probably the tree with the least growth, or at least the least branches starting right away from the trunk, because we only have three here. We have this very long growth here that I'm not sure if I really like it. It starts to lean a little bit too long here. So we have different options with this. Of course, we could simply take out one of those branches and then just focus on the other ones. However, as two are coming right off the lip here, basically where the tree was cut, we might do something different. We might work with this branch in the future and also with this branch in the future and see one of them then simply as a side branch coming off from the trunk here. That also leaves us, of course, with the smaller growth here. I can actually see there's smaller growth also hidden behind here that I would keep on because it comes from a different growth point. But this one here and one that has actually already died back, we will take out. So let me grab my garden shears and find a good spot to actually get in here and take this out. A lot of this growth often will come back. This is simply the case with Ficus microcarpa. When you cut them back, you often shoot again new branches out from these areas down here. I wouldn't say we're finished with this branch yet, because of course we also want to shorten this a little bit to work on the structure in the future. I see this leaf here is a little bit sickly, so I wouldn't go back all the way to here. This one is doing okay, I would say. I would probably go up to some place here. Yeah, probably not, because it will be too long. We will simply hope that it is strong enough, this tree, to backbud from this spot, and we take out this growth. And of course also here in the back we need to shorten this considerably, and we will go in here and just shorten it and potentially still wire it afterwards, but we will see that. That was actually the tree with, I would say, the most pronounced branches already, because you can see they are quite thick in comparison. They already started to be woody. When we look at the next tree, which we will do right away now with the one here in the middle, we won't see a lot of woody parts on this tree yet, because it is definitely younger, and I can see only a lot of growth coming out from here. Very thin branches, still green branches. It is very lush and full, but of course that really doesn't help us if all the growth is simply coming from here, and we don't potentially even want this as the apex. Maybe we even want to grow this further. So I'm gonna switch to smaller scissors, which should be enough here to really go in and get rid of most of the branches that we deem not desirable. And I would simply go in where I see a lot of branches coming from the same spot and starting to cut back some of them. And often it's just a singular leaf that it will be that we cut back this way. For example, here we have just a small branch with two leaves that we need to simply thin out here a little bit, because it is just too darn crowded in here. So also the one here on top I would take out. That leaves us here with one long branch. I'm quite happy with actually leaving it grow as it is. And if we turn this a little bit around, we can still see one growing up here. However, this is quite far away from the rest of the growth, so I'm fine with this. And then we have another little growth hub, you might almost say, right here. So we definitely also need to counteract here and decide which branch we actually want to keep. The problem is they all seem to be still, well, very much in the early stage in development, so it's really not that clear to decide on one. But I think this one doesn't look too healthy when it comes to the leaves, so I would take this one out and leave this little branch here for now. It was so crowded that even some of the lower leaves here are starting to die back, so that will help us with thinning it out, of course, in the future anyway, but for now we still need to decide also here again which branch we want to focus on, because there is multiple branches here. They're actually growing on top of each other, and I would take out the thinner one here. Here's actually quite a difference between the two, which leaves us with this higher one here. I would also probably, would I already shorten it? No, I would let it grow still a little bit until it gets woodier a little bit here still, and then I would cut it back to hopefully then encourage the tree to ramify from here. Here's a little leaf we can still take out. And that leaves us with one branch, a very, very small one up here, two branches, and a third branch down here. We might even take out this one in the future. For now, I think we can leave it on because it's not right away interfering with any other of the branches. Good, so we had this little tree already, we have this little tree, which leaves us with this one. This is actually the tree I have worked on previously the most, because that was before a singular tree that I had in my collection that I'm trying to turn into a mame bonsai. But I thought it would fit well in this constellation, so that's why I also followed it up with the other ones. And here we already start to see a little bit more ramification going on. For example, right here in the top, we see here, not ramification, but at least a lot of nice new growth. However, here, that means we could cut it back to a lower point to encourage some ramification still here. So probably here somewhere. And the same holds true for this little branch, which also really starts to ramify and throw out new growth here from the secondary branch already. So this is definitely on the way, and probably the best example of how I want the other two to develop within the next 1 to 2 years, I would say, to really start to see first results. We really want to see the primary branches then starting to split up into secondary branches and so on, of course. And we really start to see this already here quite nicely. So it will, of course, spread out the canopy a little bit. It will simply make it look more like an older tree, actually. And that, of course, is the goal anyway. So this is, I think, a good example of the direction I would like to go with the other two. I can still see here in the back we left this one long, and I'm still thinking, should we cut it back or not? But as I said, with the ramification, you can also see it quite well here. I really did it always when it really started to already show woody parts on the branches, and then cut it back, and that seemed to have worked quite well with these Ficus microcarpa. So let's take a step back again and see what we have achieved so far. So if we look at the overall constellation, it's definitely thinned out a little bit, which helps us simply getting a clearer picture of these trees again. Here we can see a lot of the growth has actually disappeared, which I'm quite happy with. This was way too crowded, and it was all just primary branches. There was no secondary branches, no ramification going on whatsoever. The same held true for here. We already cut it back to woody parts, and I think here we will see some ramification going on with the new growth happening then within probably the next couple of weeks already. And here we have a tree that is very well on its development already, and I think on the right course to look nice and develop a nice branch structure also. So yes, a little work here on the branch structure, but of course it can go a long way in the future and over the long term. So always good to just take the time with your trees to look at tasks like this, working on the structure. taking these initial steps that hopefully will bear fruits in the future then. I will keep you updated on this tree, of course. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you enjoy my channel, feel free to subscribe to it. And hopefully I will see you in the next video then. Until then, take care.